God Almighty. This is the Sweat Equity Podcast, coming to you from Cigar City Studios in the Toco Works office. I'm your host, Law Smith. Rolling solo again. I don't know if Caleb's coming back ever. He's like a lost puppy. But we'll see. He's getting married. He's probably, going through a lot of life stuff that I don't know about. But this was a fun time to talk to my other friend, Beth Miller, a very good friend of mine. She lives out in LA, and she is one of those people that has a myriad of talents and actually has been doing some work for us on the side for our company, Toco Works, tocoworks.com, solving how. So we get into it a lot about PR, mostly. She's been a model. She's done on-air hosting for like man on the street kind of shows or sketches or internet YouTube shows. I guess that sounds like I'm a dad already talking about it. She's been the host of our college football podcast, The Triple Option, coming back in August, and got one of those people that does a lot of stuff, and a very good friend of mine that has a lot of hustle, which is what this show's really about, is trying to grind, trying to get things going, and hopefully you're listening to get a little inspired or just know a little bit more about other areas of other businesses that it's not something you'd look up normally. So we try to make it fun. Hit her up on Twitter at BethTalksSports.com, and let's get into it with my good friend, Beth Miller. About anything fun? Anything?
I was down at Comic-Con this past week. Did you know that?
Yeah, you told me about that. I'm sure you at Comic-Con. Was that like them like finding out about Justice League's like new trailer? Were they like, oh my god, a girl?
So I was doing no. There's some hot action walking around there. I was doing,
really?
Well, not like the talent. Not. I mean, anyway. I was doing, or still am doing PR for experiential marketing agency. So they were doing five activations there for Fox, FX, and TBS. So I just went down there to be on site for the day, help with social media, get some photos, if there was any media on site, make introductions, that kind of thing. And now I'm just kind of doing some follow-up pitching and just trying to position them in terms of, being at the forefront of this industry. And I think they were doing the most activations at Comic-Con. And I mean, one, just in terms of walking around, like, seemed to be the most popular, was the biggest, the best, the whatever. So just trying to get them some coverage. I mean, obviously the activations got coverage because it's Fox and FX and all that, but more on the kind of marketing digital agency side.
What's activation necessarily?
I mean, yeah, it's a broad term for, they're doing some sort of event, stunt, whatever you want to call it. And I mean, for instance, like Son of Zorn, it was like, it's actually looks like it's going to be a really funny TV show. And I don't watch TV, but for Fox, it's kind of a hybrid, real and animation. Anyway, so they had this like rock climb, and then they had this free fall where you like jumped, and I forget how many feet. It didn't look that intimidating until you were up there. And then, of course, you got your photo and you share it to social and all that. They were doing one for a Rocky Horror Picture Show, and you would go in and they're doing like the redo of that show. And you would get your lips painted and then stand in front of their step and repeat. Of course, there's always a social element. Snickers was create your own comic book cover. So you put on costumes and you'd have, anyway. So like it could be a range of things, but stuff like that. So like
the promotion, like the... what, I don't know, kitschy kind of promotion, I guess.
A live promo or live stunt, yeah.
What? So
So that kind of dovetails in kind of something we were talking about a while back, a couple weeks ago, but it's like the term, like, all right, so like the term promotion isn't used anymore as much, and it's now activation. And then like PR now isn't really what PR was probably 10 years ago. Like, or 15, definitely
It's not even
15
what
years.
it was 2 years ago. I
And so
mean,
like, what is like PR well, the way I think of PR is almost like my default term is always the 90s, like,
press release.
yeah, press release. You have a publicist. They're
Which PR people, if you're not in entertainment, PR people despise that term. Like
so
publicist is pretty much like an entertainment term, and it's stuck, and people are fine with it there. And the rest of the PR world,
so don't ever call
yeah.
that's like y'all's N word as publicist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't know why. For entertainment, it's totally fine, but like anywhere else, it's like you cringe when you hear that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I get that's one of those things where, like, I don't think
It doesn't matter.
I kind of know this world, and I don't know. I probably would have to have like a chart, like a doctor's office chart, like
Like
of,
PR buzzwords.
yeah, well, like, because it's kind of like what our company's doing is like the stuff overlaps so much that people think, branding and marketing can't be kind of separate things, or your website isn't your marketing stuff. And it's like, no, all these things are related, your design, your strategy, all that shit. That's why we have this service categories we do. But like PR is interesting because it's literally changing so quickly that, the way I explain social media management to people is like, your tiny PR firm. Like, don't get a 21-year-old to run your social media account, because they're going to, unless you're like a popsicle place, a hipster popsicle place that just opened down the street. I'm now going to go because I just reminded myself. But like, that's fine if you have that. But if you're like a financial advisor or something, and you're trying to push out like good content or procuring other content, don't use a 21-year-old that doesn't know shit about the financial system, the financial world.
Well, it's fine to use the 21-year-old to, schedule and Hootsuite. Or it's fine if that 21-year-old happens and, to be a whiz at that. But I think that's not typically the case. I mean, look, any of it is, I feel like everything's a subset of marketing. PR's a function of marketing, website, branding, social, all of that. The crazy part, I think, now is when clients or prospective clients come to me to, an agency I'm working with, you can't just rely on the traditional stuff, and even social isn't enough. There has to be this like almost influencer campaign and like full out digital strategy. And so where you might have put a lot of the emphasis on, whether it's if it's a sporting event I'm doing or something like that, where, we're trying to get the TV stations out, we're trying to get the local papers, etc. There has to be this whole other plan around digital and social media and, just kind of everything else in terms of, creating a buzz. And I hate to use that word, but but they look to you for that. And it's crazy because there are true just digital and social media companies out there that do this. But when they come to you as a PR agency now, it's just like, well, no, this is everything. So you better know how to do it, or you better know how to outsource, or you better hire somebody very quickly that knows what they're doing. And it's tough. And it's also tough because clients are looking to you to do it for the same budget 5 years ago as it is now. And it's like, well, but in a sense, while it's made it tough, it's also, I think, alleviated a little of the stress of like, you're doing, let's say, again, I work a lot in sports. Let's say it's a sporting event and it's happening that Saturday. And let's say, whether it rains or some, whatever, bad example of like terrorist or, something, but it's like, there's so many variables that can interrupt that. And the amount of times as a PR person that you're calling around to the, news station or whatever that morning, and they're like, sorry, there was a shooting on the freeway. Like, we're not going to make it to your volleyball tournament. And it's like, okay, so like, what else? Like, what's your plan aside from just that traditional media coverage? And I think, as everybody's seen, it's also just your own personal content development. So while it's great to, have people retweeting or, doing things like that, it's like you have to put out your own article about the event, your own interviews with the athletes and things like that, and then have a plan, a distribution plan for that. You can't rely on the media to come and do the interviews or, share it on their social or whatever it is.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Like you have to be your own, like no matter how big or small you are, you have to be your own like content pusher and then act as your own PR person a lot of the time. A lot of people that do listen to this are either small business owners, entrepreneurs that have a couple businesses, or the majority of the people that listen to this are people that are stuck in the office job and trying to get out of that. And like, kind of the big thing is like, no, you don't have to be a jack of all trades necessarily, but I think you need to know enough about each aspect of business to kind of, even if you stay within a company, you just want to hop to another one and have like more of a set career, like old school style career, like you still need to know how all the parts play. And if no one's going to tell you in a particular company, you need to figure it out yourself somehow. Is that?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if that's not really a question, but
no, yeah.
But I was just kind of getting, well, I was getting kind of in my head about that. Like when I lived out in LA, and we were having college football Saturdays when I was out there, you were coming over with all the gals, all the ladies that I went on y'all's ladies trip to Sundance once.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have long hair, so I can get by. Plus, someone needed to be the muscle around there. And
you were also the one that brought was it cake or cotton candy vodka? So
this was 2002, I think. And yeah, this is when the cake and cake vodka, cotton candy vodka. Who knew that this would be such a bigger market now?
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's awesome. There's every kind of flavor of vodka now. You don't even need to mix it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. You could probably see my bar from right here, and it's just whiskeys. Right?
Is it? There's something on Google Hangout.
There's actually a super trendy one that's not mine. Somebody brought it to a birthday party. Fireball.
Yeah, I use that as like a go-to on stage, like when people are getting too.
Or podcasts.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've got some Florida cane vodka in the office. We try to do a little Mad Men-esque meetings in here. Sometimes people need to relax a little bit. I try to have clients in here after 5 a lot of the time, because if we're doing strategy, because they need to be able to kind of shut off their brain a little bit to be able to kind of think openly and not have like, I had someone in here today for a couple hours, and it was like, I'm trying to go over a bunch of stuff, but every 6.5 minutes, they're looking at their phone to answer an email or text. And it's like, okay, so next time we meet, we'll do this like when you got maybe a Friday afternoon, even something when it's not too stressful during the day. I'm sure you get that a lot if you're doing PR for people, but I feel you have to.
Marketing gets pushed. It's last on everybody's list. It's last on everybody's budget. If look, everybody has to get the core work done, or admin, or whatever it is, HR stuff, and it's like, yeah, I didn't get around to reviewing, whatever, the press release, the article, the this or that. So no, I definitely get that, and it's crazy when. Whatever, for whatever reason, if it's the economy, whatever it is, it's truly the first thing to knock off of somebody's budget. It's like, nope, look, yeah, I know you got to pay your staff, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I think a lot of marketing and PR people get frustrated in terms of like building, PR and marketing traditionally does not happen overnight. In terms of, that success and visibility, it does take some time, and it's very frustrating to get, 3 months into something and have some good progress and a good foundation. And then whatever happens, economy, something, they lose one of their biggest clients or something like that. And it's like, all right, we're killing the marketing budget. And I know it's tough to swallow, but it's actually, in my opinion, the thing that should stick around, or some happy medium of it.
Yeah, it's tough when you tell people like, "Hey, no, you always need this," which is always why if I go like we go in it with a client, we're real intense with someone that like I'm going to ask about the other side. I'm going to ask about like operations and stuff like that, and like we can get paid to do that part for clients, but until we do more and more of that and have that as like a real arm. Right now, I just go like, what are your operations like? And like, are you pleased with your HR part? And because your human capital part is going to be, that's the one that's super expensive and never really looked at. And then like, so I talk about like internally marketing, like how do we get people to really internal branding too? Like, how do you get people to kind of want to talk about working where they work instead of like,
well,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, no, it's funny because, and I probably said this to you before, but, in terms of working with somebody and doing their PR, like PR comes down here, but it's like, first I'm, anybody that works in PR jokes that PR comes last, and it's like all this other like laundry list of stuff. But it just reminded me, because you're saying like, I want to know about your operations. I want to know about the people working for you, and like, what are they interested in? I used to work with a lot of professional services firms, mainly law firms. And, there were some attorneys that would rather give their, left arm than go give a speaking engagement. If they wanted to write an article. But anyway, so you go in, you're sitting down with each of these people, and it's finding out, what are they actually going to contribute that is going to make them shine and going to make your company shine. Because if you're forcing this kind of stuff on people, it's going to, work against you. So, I mean, it's definitely, I think, the same thing. Like, you go in and you kind of learn everything about their business A to Z, and then just kind of work that into, marketing and PR.
Yeah, I always ask, and I try to ask this to independent contractors and like and our clients. It's like, what do you like to do? Like, what area do you like? You can do this. You can be an attorney, but are you? I mean, I've been working with a bunch of law firms, so it's like they usually just break down attorneys into finders, minders, and grinders, which is like business development, person in the office doing all the paperwork, and the person closing out in the court.
Right.
And I guess it's kind of a consulting kind of philosophy too. But like, my thing is like, what part of that do you like to do? Because let's plan to what's your threshold to bring in someone to handle. If you're a one-man show, what's your threshold of revenue to bring in so you can bring in someone to do, more of the minding part. Or bring in a younger attorney to do some of the business development side. And so like, I always go like, what do you like the best? And let's try to figure out how to automate or do something to help that other part that you hate. I like doing the grinding stuff because I'm on Grinder all the time. No, I like doing the strategy sessions, and I like doing the brand creation stuff, and I'm proficient with online advertising, but it's not my favorite build out. The strategy for that's my fun, but actually sitting down and doing it, and that's kind of how I think about it with us. But I want to go back to kind of like what you're talking about. You didn't say this outright, but the value proposition of like having PR, because you're basically explaining like all the things it takes to do PR, which is like you got to be on call because you're going to be at crisis control, which is kind of something you don't think about. And I'll tell you what I tell everybody is like, I use what an attorney says. I say like, yeah, you don't pay an attorney like $500 an hour or whatever, $300 an hour, whatever your attorney rate is. You don't pay them for that rate of the hours actually worked. You're paying for the knowledge that they know what's going on, which is tough in your position, my position, because until we get more testimonials and more client like success stories, we can't rely on like, oh, I went to this law school and I worked at this firm, thus my price point should be up here.
Right.
So how do you do a value? How do you prove value to anybody? I mean, like, there's no real right answer because it's kind of like, what does one hand clapping sound like? No, it's like I don't know. It's that thing of like, I always feel like I'm like having to prove that what you're doing, and then I'm like, oh, I'm already in a bad position if I'm having to do this,
Yeah.
3 months in with someone.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is hard. I mean, I think PR people still struggle with it. I can say that, setting up a system from the start so that the client knows, setting up a work plan or a weekly call or, whatever it is, so that they know consistently what you're working on and what you're doing. And I think it also kind of teaches them over time if they've never worked with a PR person. And we get that all the time. It's either they haven't and they don't really understand how it works, or they have and they had a bad experience. And I always joke like, can you give me the name of that firm? Because I'd love to go and work there and just churn out a bunch of press releases that don't do anything. And you give me like, XK a month, like great, because I work. But I think there is a lot to be said for having, good communication with the client. And, even if it's, you don't get that story that month, they can see the progress or the conversations you're having with a reporter. And again, I think it teaches them like, look, you don't just pick up the phone one time and pitch and you get your yes or no. Like that pretty much never happens. And, yeah, you have relationships with reporters. And that's the other like first thing everybody asks is like, well, what are your media relationships? We have good media relationships, but guess what? Everybody's changing jobs these days. Nobody's that like tenured New York Times reporter. I mean, there's a handful, but it's like, oh no, I write for the Times, I write for this, I write for that. Like nobody has their @New York Times, email address anymore. It's whatever, Gmail, because they're writing for 20 different websites and that kind of thing. So yeah, there's some key people you need to know, but at the same time, it's like that's also part of PR, and what you're paying for is for us to continue to build those relationships and, keep them in front of them. Anyway, but going back to what you said, I mean, it's all of that. It's as long as I think they can see the, progress or just the communication and your outreach, I think they get it. And, we've had some clients that like, look, everybody wants that big New York Times, Wall Street Journal story, and it may happen a year out. It may not happen 3 months out, but it's also, building some of the smaller stories and getting that foundation going. Because it's also like, if you started from nothing, probably not going to get that New York Times story overnight. So, but again, if they see kind of your process for everything and it's like, okay, this is how it goes. And within that, and this is why I hate to do just the traditional PR in terms of, just the major national stories, because I think it does need to be a mix. And it's also kind of helpful to us and the client to have, other things going out. It's not just that one story, because at the end of the day, like if your prospective client didn't pick up the New York Times that day, like, well, then what was the value in that? Like, let's say you did land that big story. What was the value in that? Are you, putting it up on your website? Are you putting it on social media? Are you doing an email blast with it? Are you using it as a lead behind it your next talk? But then you know what? Like that story kind of goes like that. So what's next? So it's a mix, and it's a consistent mix, and just keeping them in the loop on that. And I think I don't know, just as long as they can see like progress and you're not just focused on one thing, and they can see that you're trying to, build content and visibility from a range of things, then usually nobody can say at the end of the day, like, you didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you're also doing the thing where you're trying to teach them how to be, if they're doing a lot of public speeches and like a lot of like, kind of corporate meetings or whatever it is where they have to publicly speak, you're kind of like prepping them like, all right, you need to say this, don't say this. And like, this is the direction that speech probably needs to go in. What do you got? And I'm sure that you get like, oh yeah, I got it. I'll just wing it. And like, no, you're not a winging it kind of guy, like, or gal.
It's one of the first things I try and sit down and do with any client. I mean, whether you're a startup or you've been in business 10 years, it's hard to talk about yourself, and it's hard to, I guess, get what other people are hearing when you're telling your, elevator speech or whatever. So I will sit down with them and say, like, let's message your story and let's come up with like whatever, however many bullet points it takes to tell that in a live interview, or, if it's a phone interview where you have time to, just talk at length. And yeah, it's crazy because it's like, this doesn't really say what you do, or this doesn't, or it just sounds like everybody else. So it's a lot of that too. I mean, it's, communications.
Well, honestly, a lot of people have never heard themselves talk, like, in their head. And this happens a lot with like, in the stand-up world, I think a lot of the time in the like open micer kind of area, like people in their head on the way there have a joke, or they have something that they're like, oh yeah, this is going to be, I mean, you've seen me bomb 80 times, I'm sure, but like, you're like, oh, this is going to go well in my head. I know, until you really realize what your voice is like in public, it's a lot different than what's in your head. Like, the way where your eyes are, the way you're gesturing. I got to remember to smile when I write it on my joke book. Like, remember to smile. Because it looks like I'm not having a good time because I have what my wife calls resting bitch face. And like, I guess my normal disposition when I'm thinking is I look like I'm pissed, and I'm not. I'm just like, I've got furrowed eyebrows and a huge head. So I guess that makes it look like the angry emoji.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. If you actually sit down and record yourself, you realize a lot of things. I did some on-camera stuff, and I used to do some hosting, class workshops, and I'm very handsy. And so, but now I'm probably like too, because I realized it, that like the more I keep talking, I'm like, and it looks terrible when somebody's watching you, but you don't realize it. But yeah, I mean, it's everything, whether it's, speech delivery or all the gestures. But again, just like, are you getting your points across? Like, you can look super polished, but if your message isn't on point, then, who cares? And people are bored. Or vice versa. If you're super messaged, but you're, you look sloppy and all of that. So, I mean, again, going back to the whole, like, what falls under PR, I'm sitting there, giving them like a bullet point of, hey, don't wear patterns. Hey, make sure you do this, or I don't know, just stuff about how they appear. And they're like, oh, thanks. I didn't think about that. Is that PR? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I think so. I think that's like arguably because what I would contend is like, you're making sure they don't have any negative PR at the same time. Like, you can get them the part, but like, you gotta get a little coached up so we know. And it's not like it's you trying to control them. It's like, no, I want what's best for you, because it does behoove me as the PR person for you to do the best you can so this relationship keeps going, in a better way.
Yeah, and it's funny because going back to kind of the, value of PR, that would be kind of the pushback from a lot of attorneys or whomever. They would say, well, we didn't get any new clients in that quarter. Well, let's look at what we created for you and set you up for success. We're not sitting down with that prospective client. We're not in that, speech. We're not in that whatever. Like, you still have to be the closer. Like, this is still your profession. So,
Right.
It was just funny though, because like once you would frame it that way in a very, PC sort of way, but it was like, well, look, we did all of this. We got you that speaking engagement. We developed your speech. We messaged you. We made sure you looked polished, et cetera, et cetera. If you're still boring or not engaging, like, we can't, or you didn't do what we said in terms of leaving business cards behind or going up to people or, working with us to do the follow-up, we can only do so much.
or and especially for attorneys, I don't know how California is, but Florida, like, for a lot of attorneys, I don't think they can contact their leads. It has to have them have
attorney
people.
advertising and all. I mean, they can, but I don't. That's
It's different state to state. Yeah. I mean, like, but California, I would imagine, is way more strict than Florida. Just generally, that's how it rolls with laws, and I'm going to assume the associations aren't too far behind. But
I mean, and I'm sure it's changed since I've done it, but it was stuff like you could still mail stuff out, and I mean, you have your contact list, and you just had to put like attorney advertising on it or something like that. I mean, you weren't supposed to do like cold calling per se, but I mean, I don't know. I'm sure with a lot of like personal injury and firms like that, there's some ways around it.
Well, I mean, for sure. And if you dominate the market, like the one firm in Florida, you can lobby the rules the way you want. But if anybody's in Florida, they'll know exactly who I'm talking about. So I just looked at pay-per-clicks for personal injury in the area, and it's at like $68 a click or something crazy like that. But and so, what was I going to ask you? Now my mind's going in 80 different directions. Oh, well, with the what you try to explain is like, okay, well, and I don't know if you do this as much with coming in as PR, let's say, and you do more than PR. I mean, the reason I like trying to give you work if I can. I haven't given you the best stuff, but you are good. I tell everybody, like, you need to talk to Beth because she's in PR. She's going to get this copy out of you the way you want it to be said. Like, a lot of people, like, they don't have their own bio or what they're about or what their business is about, like their business plan, just the basics. What's your mission? What's your vision? What are your core values? And they're like, what? I'm trying to open this popsicle place. Like, what do you mean? It's like, well, no.
Big on the popsicles.
I'm
hot in Florida right now.
It's hot oh my God. This is so miserable that I think I'm going to officially do my power casual movement pretty soon, which is going to be, I'm only wearing linen pants from now on. That's going to be I'm going to call that power casual.
Opposed to the gym shorts I'm guessing you have on?
No, I changed out of this because I got to go, I'm fat and I got to go work out. But no, you go linen pants in Florida because fuck it. I mean, like, you can't wear shorts and look, and like, there's no one in shorts that really looks like they're like got their business together. Like, I'm already at you were talking about like looking slovenly and having a message. Well, what if you have neither? But like, I'll walk into a room and I know I look like Spicoli's son. And so, like, I know that's going to be an uphill battle of sorts, but I think it does kind of help the way I'll kind of weave in between professional and business. But like, with Florida being 96 and then humid as shit, like, I think I can work the power casual angle, which is you go nice shoes, but you go linen pants because you need it breezy. I run hot, and then I don't know about a top. I got nothing, but I'm not wearing a tie. That's kind of half the reason I'm doing it.
No, but I think these days and especially in the industries we're in, I think, I mean, maybe depending. When I worked with attorneys, if I was going to meetings, for the most part, I would be in a suit. That was more just the CEO's personal opinion, but I think blouse slacks. But I mean, otherwise, I'm pretty casual. But obviously, sports industry is super cash and all that. But I think being more in the creative industry, they kind of almost expect you to show a little flair, a little of who you are.
Yeah, we were like, my wife's like, you need some like nice dress shirts, and I'm like, I'll wear the same gray American Apparel shirt every day if we just buy 20 of them, because I don't really want to think about it. And then I'm reading all these studies that pop up, and it's like, guess what Mark Zuckerberg's closet looks like, and it's like, yeah, because it's the same. It's the Nick Saban thing. Like, he eats the same lunch every day because you don't want to have to think about it, and none of us, we don't care about that certain part of our life. I don't care about food either, for the most part. Like, I'll just eat just to
popsicles?
eat. Popsicles, that's a sometimes food that, need to go run in this Florida sun and then have a popsicle. Wow, this has gone by fast. All right. Anything you want to address? Anything you wanted to talk about?
You're putting it on me. I don't know. Should I scroll back through our texts of everything we? Well, I feel like all I did was complain. Like, what's the good part of PR?
Well, no. I mean, that's a good thing. But I think for people that don't know the PR world, it's not bad to vent. This is a safe space, as the college kids call it. But I'm saying, like, it's that thing of like, I think this is a way for people to passively listen while doing something else, but they're getting a glimpse into that world that you're in. You're mostly sports PR, right? Or
I try to be.
Well, that's another thing. I don't really want to pigeonhole you because like, you can do a lot of different things, kind of like I can. Like, a lot of people will look at you, if whatever they think you were the first time, that's kind of what you are in their head a lot of the time. So, like, I have a problem around Tampa. Everybody thinks I'm doing stand-up, which I need some PR help to get away from that a little bit. I need to have that message out there that I'm doing both at the same time, and one helps the other, really. For you, you've done a lot of hosting gigs. You've modeled, yeah. You've done.
Everybody watching is like, no, that was my first impression.
I think they're just like, what? Where does she live? Where is that? What part of LA?
Not in LA too.
Yeah, as if you're not near the fires or any of that. I have no idea.
No, I'm right at the beach.
Okay, and for our really crazy listeners, what beach? Address? No. What else?
Right. Yeah. Speaking of upping your wardrobe, like, I pretty much sit around and, like, I'm like the stereotypical LA girl, like yoga or apparel, or if I can, I'm out at the beach working.
Isn't that what the future is supposed to be? Like, I wear Nike Pro Combat gear all day because it's the most comfortable thing. I'm wearing it right now, and like, I'll wear this if I could wear anything ever, because it's like, yeah, this feels good. It doesn't feel like I'm wearing anything. And I don't know. I feel like that's all the futuristic movies. They all had like really cool, shiny shit to wear. And then now it's like, oh no, you need this really hot wool suit to wear everywhere. And
I don't know. It's different in LA because, I mean, it's just a different world. So I'm probably, like, I don't know, skewed on my vision of the rest of the country now. I mean, I know when I go back to Ohio, I'm like, oh wow, you guys are still doing the suits and like long skirts and stuff, huh?
That's what I said. I'll wear a skirt. I mean, wait, no, hold on. No, I was saying, like, my dad has worn a suit as an attorney for like 30 years, and it's July, and I don't understand how he walks from like 2 buildings away, and my ass would just soak on the whole back. It looked like I'd sat in a puddle. Like, that's how bad I sweat.
And that's, to me, that's what I don't get either, because it's like, you're miserable in that, you're sweating, and what, like, I bet you're going to be a better attorney in something that makes you comfortable. Now, I'm not saying like walk around in like board shorts and a tank, but like happy medium. I say the same thing to my dad. He's in insurance, and, you know, casual Fridays are still like the button down, no tie, and like, you know, khakis. And I'm like, okay. I mean, but otherwise it's suit and tie. And
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
And I know he's miserable.
yeah. Well, when I used to work in the mutual fund company, Dimensional in LA, like I had a boss, Jeff Cornell, that was like, why am I wearing a suit every day? I'm in my office most of the time, just seeing everybody else that works here. It's like, he was like, it didn't used to be this way like 15 years ago. Like, why are we doing this now? So it's kind of silly, but I do think about, like, in that way we were talking about public speaking. I do think about how I am carrying myself with future people will hire, and how, like, you know, I can't be as slovenly maybe as far as what I'm wearing or attitude when I walk in, kind of stuff. I guess I'm thinking about that more in the dad perspective now, as kids sponge everything. But
Well, but I think it's too, you know, sometimes, you know, certain clients or prospective clients, and I think, like, you know what, if they're gonna like judge or kind of like, I don't know, I liked her because of A, B, and C, but like, oh, she wasn't in a suit or something like that. Like, is that the type of person I want to work with?
they'll never say it outright like that. No one will ever say anything like that. But you will, like, it'll add into the negative column in what they're already in, where we're both, you and I, are coming from in a lot of ways, is like an audition a lot of the time. And so, like, we're already coming in at, like, all right, we have to prove ourselves a little bit more than someone else might, an accountant, let's say, that they're trying to hire. All right, so, you know, it's that thing of, like, it toes the line. It's something to be kind of aware of, I guess. But, you know, I just, before we got off this podcast, I wanted you to tell everybody how awesome I've been at coordinating all the projects I've given you and all the apps to make you so productive. I mean, we got Slack, we've got a Zendu, we've got Evernote, Harvest. What else are we working with now? I got it on the board over here. Proposify. I haven't even gotten you in there.
I actually use, I think, 2 of the 5 you just.
Pipe Drive I'm using now as our CRM. And yeah.
Pipe Drive?
Yeah.
Okay.
My nickname in prison.
CRM? I mean, I get it, but it's an aggressive name.
Well, I literally spent my Saturday night doing accounting, and then what do we use?
I was writing website copy for one of our clients.
Yeah. And you've done a great job with everybody. The thing, that's another thing. That's what I wanted to bring up too, is like your ability to follow up's really good, and a lot of people don't have that. And I was trying to explain this to someone sometime last week. I was like to me, a third of business is following up. Like, I feel like that's a lot, and it not in the client to agency perspective, but also like in your office, or like trying to be a salesperson, or like follow-ups. Like, that's very underrated aspect of business, and you are very good at it, because I'll get emails from you at, like, my time it'll be 8:30, and I'm like, well, all right, you got up at 5:30. What the hell? Like, and you're answering emails. I need like a good 15 minutes before I'm going to do any of that, at least.
Well, again, PR is like 85% of your job is follow-up, because, of course, reaching out to media, etc. But, I mean, you know, you are bugging clients, too, because they put marketing and PR last on the list. But I would seriously say it's 85%. And whenever I was hiring for somebody, you know, it's hard to say, like, well, are you good at follow-up? Yeah, okay, you know, but you kind of got a sense in terms of, I don't know, how they would follow up with you from the interview. I mean, you didn't want them to go overboard, but like at least semi-persistent about it. But I mean, no, it's huge, because you know, especially if you're running your own business and you're managing people, the last thing I want to do is have to turn around and be like, where is that? What's the status of that? As a senior level person, you should never have to.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, it happens,
but I feel like the CEOs are the best kind of entrepreneurs I know are awesome about that. And it's not like, it's not something they have to strive to do. Like I had to like figure out how to coach myself to get good at that almost artificially. When I was at that said mutual fund company, that it was like, oh, okay. I was 21. I was like, oh, I got it. Like that's a lot of everything, basically, no matter where you are in the company. And I feel like the best entrepreneurs I know, you'll see emails coming in because they're constantly thinking about like that next thing. I think that's a little maddening for me, but I don't know. You're very good at that and diligent about following up, and I feel like being reliable in that area is something that, you know, maybe when we have all these apps synced up and integrated, you can actually show the data of when you contact, which is kind of half the reason I'm trying to use these things. So I can always go back and go, here's actually specifically how much we follow up, and here's the schedule, and here's the progress of this project. Almost maybe that's more of the attorney in me that's like, you know, always be able to back up, you know, don't have stats on like, no, I followed up here, here, and here. I didn't get anything from you or whatever, you know, whatever it is. So I guess the last thing I want to ask you is, what project management app are we using? We're using Trello? We're using Asana? Are we using Rink, I think is how you say it? I don't know.
Asana.
Yeah? Why?
That's what I've been using, and then I asked you if Slack, or I was saying, well, you know, Slack integrates with that. I mean, look, the less extra apps, the better for me.
Well,
and I think one of the reasons I struggle using those is, you know, not to pat myself on the back, but it's because I do what I need to do, and like I stay on top of my stuff. So for me to get like a reminder from somebody else is kind of like, yeah, no, I know, I already have that on my checklist. Like I don't need your, you know, extra whatever. But I get it, especially if you're running a company and you want to like quick shot of what everybody's working on and, you know, what's outstanding and all of that. It's very good.
Yeah, and ideally, I'd like to be able to walk into any meeting and go, here are the things we've already done, you know, and here are the things that are upcoming, and here I can see who they're delegated to. So
right.
It's a lot of like troubleshooting in the client service side a lot of the time, but it's also like I want to see like kind of in the respect of you know, a big mistake people and this is another part of that value proposition, is a big mistake people make in marketing is they think they're marketing because they're doing a lot of promotion and advertising, and then they never look back to see what worked and what didn't. They just have a gut. I think you need that gut instinct on where to go a lot of the time, but I think a lot of people go, all right, a lot of small businesses don't go like, we should look back at the last 3 months or 6 months if they're doing their own stuff all the time, and then really kind of figure out, was that idea a win or a loss, or just needs a little work, you know, like
it's tough because you're like just moving on to the next thing. You're like, okay, we got that out the door, like on to the next thing. It's tough.
And I want to take all the projects we do in the future, and ideally like your interface will only have to be through a couple of these things, and not the 17 I use. Like you don't need to be involved in QuickBooks, or you don't need to be.
QuickBooks though, used to do. But yeah, also fall under my PR title somehow.
I mean, that's something weird. I think all resumes should just be the icons of shit of the apps and software you've had to learn. But like, my thing is like, I'm trying to connect about 17 to make us super productive. But the reason I have to do it this way is because what we're doing doesn't really exist in a way that, and I hate to use the attorney way, but there's law firms that have like Clio, I think, like an all-in-one thing. It's a project manager, it's a CRM, it's a calendar, it's everything. There's nothing really exists because we're trying to write really a new book over here, like how to go about kind of business consulting mostly on the digital side. And so like, that's why I'm driving myself crazy. And that's why I spent Saturday night in my office doing accounting first and then doing reconciling, fun stuff. And then,
but it is crazy. I mean, I think why you're saying, oh, I have 17 different apps, and I'm saying, well, what about this one? Or I think I like this one the best. Because it's crazy to me when you start using one and you quickly find out, like, why doesn't it have this feature? How did they miss that? Like, and I get it. It's tough to, you know, everything under one roof, but like, and I don't have a good example off the top of my head, but it's just, I don't know. Even Asana, like, I like it, but there's certain things I'm like, why would it do it that way? I used to use Basecamp, not to knock Basecamp, but, you know, there were some drawbacks to that. So we, you know, moved to Asana, and but there's still, and even tying it back into PR, like doing media tracking. It's crazy to me. There's not like a one-stop shop that does TV, print, radio, social. Like, there's just like not one good one. Like, some of them do something very well, but there's like, oh, well, we don't do social. And it's like, okay, well, weird to me. So
yeah,
start that company and go for it.
Interesting. Well, you know, the plan for this company is to have a bunch of entrepreneurs under one roof in their own different field. So who knows? Maybe PR consultant. Who knows?
Well, you're already doing all the research. You should start that productivity app or whatever. Now that you know, you should find that one.
Well, I told you about Zapier and IFTTT, which is, I figured out it stands for if this, then that, which basically they're two software or apps that connect apps. So ideally, like I'm trying to think about the way we receive messages and stuff that we can automate, because we have so many things we have to be on top of. Between Zapier and IFTTT and Flow XO, there's a way to kind of make a flow chart to make your life easier. Right now, what I didn't do and what I should have done probably the holiday season, you know, Christmas, New Year's, when it's slow for I don't know if it's slow for you, but
I was in Mexico writing website copy for a jewelry company. Remember that?
Oh yeah. They were a fun client. But yeah, that thing of like, okay, there's a way to connect all this stuff. I should have done it. I should have been doing this 8 months ago.
Right.
So, and now the pressure of a kid's really peaking.
I feel like we lost people when you said flowchart like 5 minutes ago.
Dude, I'm infographicing everything. So expect an infographic flowchart. Boom. So if anybody needs a good infographic site, PictoChart is the tits. It's awesome. I'm making all our content through there. Well, education. Why is a website important? Why is it PR important? Why is this important? Why does it cost this much? I really want to have this educational material out. I'm getting all fired up. I can see my neck veins. Like, ugh. But anything you want to plug? Twitter?
At Beth Talks Sports.
Beth Talks?
Talks. Plural.
Okay.
Sports. Plural.
So 2 S's back to back.
Yep.
All right. Just throwing it out there. Try to go out phonetically.
Just a disclaimer. I really like Florida State.
Well,
pick up on that if you check me out, though.
All right. Well, thanks for doing this. I know you didn't really want to, so.
Way to close it out.
Thanks, Duder.
Bye.
I'll talk to you later. Bye.